Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy, text number 47. Apapeshu Swabhrityeshu Apapeshu Swabhrityeshu Balena Apakva Buddhina Balena Apakva Buddhina Papam Kritam Tad Bhagavan Papam Kritam Tad Bhagavan Sarvatma Kshantum Arhati Sarvatma Kshantum Arhati Apapeshu Swabhrityeshu Balena Pakva Buddhina Papam Kritam Tad Bhagavan Sarvatma Kshantum Arhati Papeshu, unto one who is completely free from all sins. Swabhrityeshu, unto one who is subordinate and deserves to be protected. Balena, by a child. Apakva, who is immature. Buddhina, by intelligence. Papam, sinful act. Kritam, has been done. Tat Bhagavan, therefore the personality of Godhead. Sarva Atma, who is all pervading. Shantum, just to pardon. Arhati, deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Then the Rishi prayed to the all-pervading personality of Godhead to pardon his immature boy who had no intelligence and who committed the great sin of cursing a person who was completely free from all sins, who was subordinate and who deserved to be protected. Please repeat this translation after me. Then the Rishi prayed to the all-pervading personality of Godhead to pardon his immature boy who had no intelligence and who committed the great sin of cursing a person who was completely free from all sins, who was subordinate and who deserved to be protected. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everyone is responsible for his own action, either pious or sinful. Rishi Shamika could foresee that his son had committed a great sin by cursing Maharaj Parikshit, who deserved to be protected by the Brahmanas, for he was a pious ruler and completely free from all sins because of his being a first-class devotee of the Lord. When an offense is done unto the devotee of the Lord, it is very difficult to overcome the reaction. The Brahmanas, being at the head of the social orders, are meant to give protection to their subordinates and not to curse them. There are occasions when a Brahmana may furiously curse a subordinate Kshatriya or Vaishya, etc. But in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, there were no grounds, as already explained. The foolish boy had done it out of sheer vanity in being a Brahmana's son, and thus he became liable to be punished by the law of God. The Lord never forgives a person who condemns his pure devotee. Therefore, by cursing a king, the foolish Shringi had committed not only a sin, but also the great offense. Therefore, the Rishi could foresee that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead could save his boy from his sinful act. He therefore directly prayed for pardon from the Supreme Lord, who alone can undo a thing which is impossible to change. The appeal was made in the name of a foolish boy who had developed no intelligence at all. A question may be raised herein that since it was a desire of the Lord that Parikshit Maharaj be put into that awkward position so that he might be delivered from material existence, then why was a Brahmana's son made responsible for this offensive act? The answer is that the offensive act was performed by a child only so that he could be excused very easily, and thus the prayer of the father was accepted. But the question is raised why the Brahmana community as a whole was made responsible for allowing Kali into the world affairs. The answer is given in the Varaha Purana, that the demons who acted inimically toward the personality of Godhead but were not killed by the Lord were allowed to take birth in the families of Brahmanas to take advantage of the age of Kali. The all-merciful Lord gave them a chance to have their births in the families of pious Brahmanas so that they could progress towards salvation. But the demons, instead of utilizing the good opportunity, misused the Brahminical culture due to being puffed up by vanity in becoming Brahmanas. The typical example is the son of Shamika Rishi, and all the foolish sons of Brahmanas are warned hereby not to become as foolish as Shringi and be always on guard against the demoniac qualities which they had in their previous births. The foolish boy was, of course, excused by the Lord. But others, who may not have a father like Shamika Rishi, will be put into great difficulty if they misuse the advantages obtained by birth in a Brahmana family. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinam Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Now Suta Goswami is describing what did Shamika Rishi do. Whatever has happened has happened. So Shamika Rishi is praying to the all-pervading personality of Godhead. Bhagavan Sarvatma. And he's praying to the Lord to pardon his immature boy. apakva buddhina, because he is balena, he is a child who had no intelligence and who committed the great sin, papam kritam, of cursing a person who was completely free from all sins, apapeshu, who was subordinate, swabhrutyeshu, kshatriyas are subordinate to brahmanas, so they deserve brahmanas' protection and who deserve to be protected. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, according to the law of karma, every particular person is responsible for his own action, whether it is pious activity or sinful activity. So, Shamika Rishi, he was able to foresee that his son had committed a great sin by cursing Maharaj Parikshit. The law of karma works in such a way that the reaction for a particular action is awarded by higher authorities for every action that somebody performs, pious or sinful. But when the particular person who has got the reaction will experience the particular reaction, that is not decided when somebody commits the sin or the pious activity. That is not decided immediately. It is Kala, the impersonal energy of Krishna, which is working in the material world, which decides when somebody is going to get a particular reaction. So therefore, in this case, Shamika Rishi, he prayed to the Supreme Lord that this boy, my son, is immature boy. Unintelligently he has committed a great sin of punishing a faultless person. So kindly pardon him. Kindly pardon him. Because Shamika Rishi was a very, very, very advanced devotee himself. And Parikshit Maharaj was also a pure devotee. Later on it will be explained that both are pure devotees actually. So therefore, the boy, even though he had committed a great sin, and ordinarily he cannot be excused, he has misused his power, Brahmanical power. He has misused it. And it is described here that he cursed out of the pride that I am a very powerful Brahmana. So therefore, if this boy was not the son of a pure devotee, he could not have been excused. But because his father was such a great personality, and the father prayed to the Lord excused. But something else happened. That is explained by Prabhupada in the purport. So, in order to understand this whole incident, we have to hear from the proper spiritual authorities, the acharyas, and not speculate or not try to analyze based simply on the material laws. According to the strict laws of material nature, the small boy, because he is misusing his Brahmanical power, he is liable to be punished by the higher authorities, enforcing the laws of karma. Then somebody may say, he's a small boy, how can he be punished? He's immature. Now, this small boy, if he really was actually an innocent boy, he would not have the power to curse. He would not have the power to curse. So even if out of some pride he'll curse, it will not have any effect. Which means he cannot curse. So even if he makes a show of cursing somebody, that has no effect, neither he will get any reaction. Because nothing has happened. But in this case, this boy had Brahmanical power and he misused it. So therefore, this boy is actually deserving to be punished. But he was saved by his father. Just like Ajamila, he deserved to be taken by Yamadutas to Yamaloka and be punished for his sinful activities. But he was saved because he chanted the holy name. So the laws of karma are very, very, very intricate. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo apyatra mohitaha. Even the most learned, intelligent, knowledgeable Brahmanas cannot ascertain which actions will have reactions and which actions will not have reactions. Kim karma kim akarmeti. Here karma and akarma are used in the sense of activities which give reaction and activities which don't give reaction. This is the 4th chapter. In the 3rd chapter, karma and akarma is used in a different sense. 3rd chapter, open 3rd chapter. Karmajyayo hi akarmanaha. There is a verse like that. 3rd chapter. Which is the verse? 3.8, yes. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karmajyayo hi akarmanaha. Sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhyeda karmanaha. Perform your prescribed duty, niyatam kuru karmatvam, for action is better than inaction. Of course, akarma, both places the word inaction is used, 3rd chapter and 4th chapter. But here, inaction means not doing one's prescribed duty, which is also sinful. Which is sinful. Performing prescribed duty is a pious activity. Not doing prescribed duty is sinful. This Krishna explains in the 2nd chapter. He is telling Arjuna that by not doing your prescribed duty as a Kshatriya, you will incur sinful reaction. Somebody commits sinful activity, they get sinful reaction. Somebody does not do his prescribed duty, also gets sinful reaction. Which is the verse in the 2nd chapter. Krishna says, for not doing your duty, you will get sinful reaction. Not 31. 31 is the beginning of this section where Krishna explains this perform prescribed duty is important. 33. Atachetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tataswadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. Read the translation.
If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter.
You will certainly incur sins. Papam avapsyasi, for neglecting your duties. Hitva. Swadharmam hitva. So, in the 4th chapter, Krishna uses the word karma for inaction, which is activities which do not have any reactions, which is nothing but devotional service. Devotional service is activity, but activity performed in Krishna consciousness. Activity is performed as yajna, sacrifice for the Supreme. So such activities do not have any reaction. So this boy, he committed a sin and he deserved to be punished, but he is saved by his father. Just like Ajamila was saved by chanting the holy name. Even though Ajamila actually, because of sinful activities, he deserved to get punishment according to the laws of karma. The Yamadutas had come to take him to Yamaloka, to Yamaraj. But the Vishnudutas stopped him, the Yamadutas, when they heard the 4 syllables Narayana coming out of the dying Ajamila, who had chanted completely helplessly, offenselessly, even though he was referring to his son. Still the chanting was effective because it was offenseless chanting. So similarly, this boy, because he was the son of a pure devotee, he is protected under all circumstances. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito saha. He says, even if somebody who is engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Lord, pure devotional service of Supreme Lord, bhajate mam ananya bhak. Ananya bhak means pure devotional service. Such a person, even if he commits the most abominable sinful activity, he is not to be considered sinful. He is not to be considered. Sadhureva samantavyaha. He must be considered as a saintly person, as a devotee. Devotee means free from all sin, that kind of devotee. Because samyak vyavasito hi saha, simply by engaging in pure devotional service, there cannot remain any sinful reactions. Even if accidentally somebody commits a sin, then immediately the sinful reactions are destroyed completely to nil. Similarly, this boy committed a sin, but because his father is a pure devotee, the father prayed to the Lord, and this boy is completely freed from the sinful reaction. But in this whole incident, there is a higher plan by the Supreme Lord, who is ultimately in control of everything. Ultimately, Krishna is in control. So Krishna's control has to be carefully understood. Krishna is absolutely controlling everything. I mean, irrespective of whoever does their duty, does not do their duty, has become very powerful, like Hiranyakashipu after performing tapasya, is unable to be controlled by the devatas, whoever does, in whichever position. Powerful asura or powerful devata, powerful tapasvi, powerful jnani, powerful yogi, whoever does, Krishna is always in full control. But still, according to the laws of karma, laws of material nature, if I do a sinful activity, if I am not a devotee, or if I am not engaged in pure devotional service, then I will get the punishment. I will get the punishment. But in a human form of life, there is the opportunity to perform what is called as prayaschitta, atonement for avoiding the sinful reaction. Human life is very special for several reasons. One of the reasons is, in human life, if a person commits a sinful activity, such a person, before death comes, if he atones for that sinful activity he has committed, he can be freed from sinful reaction. Also, if a person commits sinful activity and he is engaged in pure devotional service, then that pure devotional service itself is the best form of atonement for all sinful reactions. Pure devotional service completely purifies a person, 100%. So this atonement is also to be considered. That there is a method of atonement for all human beings. And as far as the lower creatures are concerned, lower than humans, whatever actions they do, there is no consideration of sin. There is no consideration of sin for all animals, birds, and all lower creatures. Why? Because they are conducted completely by the gunas, according to the direction of material nature. Material nature is directed by the three directors of the three gunas, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, according to the will of Krishna in this material world. So all lower creatures, they are not responsible for their actions. They are not responsible for their actions. In the sense, they don't get reactions. If a dog bites somebody unnecessarily, the dog, the soul in the dog's body, of course, dog means the soul in the dog's body will not get reaction. But a human being unnecessarily attacks somebody, curses somebody, unnecessarily punishes somebody, unnecessarily troubles somebody, then such a human being is punishable. Human being is punishable. Somebody may say, I did not know that particular type of action I am doing is sinful. I did not know it is wrong. So ignorance in human form of life is not an excuse for performing sinful activity. No excuse. So whether somebody performs a sinful activity in ignorance or in knowledge, intentionally or unintentionally, accidentally or deliberately, a human being is punishable. But the exception is, if that human being is engaged in pure devotional service, then he is not punishable. If he atones, he is not punishable. If he is the son of a pure devotee or is any way connected to a pure devotee, then he is not punishable. So when Prahlad asked Narasimhadeva to pardon his father because his father had done so many atrocious sinful activities against saintly persons. Hiranyakashipu, so much trouble he had given to saintly persons. So much sins he had committed. So Prahlad prayed to the Lord, kindly excuse my father. So then Narasimhadev said, because you are a pure devotee, your father is already excused. Not only your father, 21 generations of all those who are related to you, everyone is freed from all sinful reactions just because you are a pure devotee appearing in a particular family. You see? So somebody connected with a pure devotee through some relationship, bodily relationship, they are freed. Or somebody is taken shelter of a pure devotee. They themselves are not pure devotees. They are freed from all sinful reactions. But otherwise, everybody else, human form of life, they have to suffer. They have to suffer sinful reactions for all their sinful activities. Now here it is explained, the Lord's plan was that Parikshit should become the instrument for Bhagavatam to be spoken by Shukadev Goswami for the benefit of the whole world. So Lord arranged that Parikshit insults this great Shamika Rishi, and the son of that Rishi curses Parikshit. And Parikshit accepts that curse, though he could have nullified the curse. Because he was a pure devotee, he could have nullified the curse. As I said, curse does not work on a pure devotee. Curse does not work on a pure devotee. So, Parikshit accepted that curse, and because he is a pure devotee, he decided to prepare himself for death. Now, Parikshit doesn't require preparation for death because he is a pure devotee. But just to teach us, even such pure devotees, they behave and act in this material world to set an example for others. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj, after the battle of Kurukshetra, when he was going to the battlefield, he saw so many millions of people dead, millions of Kshatriyas, of course, Kshatriyas dead in that huge battle. World war, it is a world war. So then he became very much affected that I am responsible for this huge massacre just because I want to become king. So I am going to get very severe sinful reactions for unnecessarily being greedy for getting this power to rule the world, and thus becoming responsible for the death of so many millions of people. 640 million, 64 crore people, 640 million. So Yudhishthira Maharaj condemned himself. And when he was condemning himself, so many Brahmanas, they said, you can perform Ashwamedha Yajna and you can become freed from reactions. But Yudhishthira Maharaj told those Brahmanas that yes, Ashwamedha Yajna can nullify reactions incurred in fighting a battle. But that doesn't apply to me, because I could have stopped this war. I could have stopped this battle. I could have stopped this battle. Because when Duryodhana denied to return the kingdom, then Yudhishthira Maharaj, he could have decided, okay, I don't want the kingdom. I'll live simply by depending on God. I'll go to the forest, and anyway they were living in forest. 13 years, 12 years, they were living in forest. They were living a life of hardship. So they are completely detached from bodily comforts. Again, because they're pure devotees. So they can live without a kingdom. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is behaving that way just to teach us that when you can avoid a battle by declining to fight, when the consequence of such a battle will be that so many millions will be killed, then you should avoid the battle. Otherwise, it is sinful. It is sinful. So the laws of karma are very, very intricate. Laws of karma are very intricate. Of course, we should also understand from the Acharyas that Yudhishthira Maharaj was not at all sinful, because we know from the Mahabharata, when Duryodhana declined, then Yudhishthira Maharaj reduced his request. And he kept on reducing when Duryodhana was saying no. Finally, Yudhishthira reduced his request to just 5 villages for the 5 brothers. Why? Because they are duty bound to maintain themselves by collecting taxes after giving protection to the citizens. That is the Kshatriya's duty. So if they get some 5 villages for overseeing, protecting, collecting taxes, so they will get something for their maintenance, and they can live because they are very, very detached. So he tried every possible way to avoid the battle. And when Duryodhana declined even to give 5 villages, then Yudhishthira sent Krishna as emissary for peace negotiation. That also failed. So Yudhishthira is not at all at fault. It's not at all at fault. But just to teach us, he accepted responsibility for the massacre, and he condemned his fighting and winning the battle. And he was pacified by Bhishma. Bhishma spoke on dharma elaborately. Yudhishthira heard, and Bhishma convinced Yudhishthira that Yudhishthira had fought a dharma yuddha for the sake of dharma, not for his personal enjoyment, not for his personal greed, personal pride. No. He had exactly acted according to the rules of dharma. And he was not at all committing any sin, and Yudhishthira was convinced by Bhishma. So, the Lord's plan in this case is that Parikshit should become the instrument for hearing Bhagavatam, and exactly what happened. So, Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, a question may be raised herein that since it was the desire of the Lord that Parikshit Maharaj be put into awkward position so that he might be delivered from material existence, why was a Brahmana son made responsible for this offensive act? Why should a Brahmana son become an instrument? Because Lord is arranging, no? So, the answer is, again, these are all explanations of the Acharya. We should understand it this way. The answer is that the offensive act was performed by a child only, so that he could be excused very easily. And the prayer of the father was accepted. So a small boy was made an instrument, not a mature Brahmana, not a learned Brahmana who's aware of all the rules, regulations, and who acts very responsibly. Such a Brahmana has not cursed Parikshit. Then the next question that is raised is, why the Brahmana community as a whole was made responsible for allowing Kali into world affairs? Through the act of this small boy, the Brahmana community was held responsible for allowing Kali to infiltrate into this world, who was stopped by Parikshit Maharaj. was not allowed to infiltrate by Parikshit Maharaj. So the answer is that in the Varaha Purana it's explained, Krishna appeared to reduce the burden of this earth planet, which was overburdened by demoniac kings. Demons posing as kings. They were big demons, and too many of them. So Krishna, from the time he was born as an infant on his mother's lap, he killed Putana. So killing business he began even on the mother's lap. And he went on killing till when? Even Vrindavan, so many demons used to come and attack Krishna. Krishna would kill them. Then his parents were tortured by Kamsa, Vasudeva and Devaki. So he went to Mathura, killed Kamsa. But to avenge Kamsa's death, Jarasandha attacked with huge Akshauhini divisions of army. And Krishna and Balaram did not kill Jarasandha first time he attacked, but finished off that army which was a burden for this earth. Army of demons. Defense forces of the demons. In this case, the demon was Jarasandha. And Jarasandha 18 times he attacked. 18 Akshauhini divisions he brought. Each time brought one Akshauhini division of army. And each time Krishna completely destroyed the army of Jarasandha but did not kill Jarasandha. Because Krishna's plan was Jarasandha will bring all these armies and armies will be destroyed. Because he came for reducing the burden of this earth. And not only that, when Krishna was ruling in Dwaraka, so many of these demons attacked Krishna. And Krishna fought against all of them and killed them. So Krishna kept on reducing the burden of the earth by killing all these demons. Now, in spite of killing, finally, whoever was left, so many demons. So he assembled them all in the battle of Kurukshetra. In the battle of Kurukshetra, he empowered the Pandavas to kill. He did not kill. He empowered the Pandavas to kill. After that also some demons, they remained. So they were allowed to take birth in the family of Brahmanas to take advantage of the age of Kali. Demons appearing in the family of Brahmanas. Brahmanas means saintly character. So it is not possible for demons to appear in, demonic nature people to appear in family of Brahmana. But these demons who escaped being killed by Krishna or by the Pandavas, they were allowed to take birth, to take advantage of this Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, everyone who takes birth in a Brahmana family is not saintly by character. Is not saintly. Generally, anyone who takes birth in a Brahmana family, a good Brahmana family, will be saintly by nature, saintly by character. Will come with a saintly background in a previous life or lives. But in Kali Yuga, because of the influence of Kali, demons take birth in Brahmana family. Not only Brahmana family, in Kshatriya family, Vaishya family also. And such demons cannot be purified by going to Gurukul, by performing religious activities, cannot be purified. Not possible. So we should also understand that simply we tell people chant Hare Krishna. Their demoniac nature is not destroyed by chanting Hare Krishna. First of all, they won't take up chanting. Somehow if they chant, they cannot give up the demoniac mentality, though they may be freed from sins. You see, carefully understand, last point, I'll close now, that Ajamila, he uttered the name of Narayana at the time of death, so he was freed from all sinful reactions. But that doesn't mean he is eligible to go back to Godhead. Why? Because the tendency for committing sins is still there in the heart. Tendency for sinning doesn't vanish by somebody being freed from sinful reactions. How will the tendency go if that person who has the tendency engages in pure devotional service voluntarily? Only then that sinful tendency will go away. Just like we tell people, chant Hare Krishna. They say Hare Krishna. Immediately all sinful reactions are gone. But then after that, the tendency is still there in the heart. So that tendency will make them commit so many sinful activities that they again become infected with sinful reactions. So therefore, it is not enough to tell people chant Hare Krishna. You also have to make them devotees. You also have to make them devotees. Then they become perfect. They purify themselves of all sinful tendencies and become first-class devotees by regularly chanting Hare Krishna and taking shelter of a pure devotee. That is also important. Two things are important. They should take to pure devotional service and they should do so under the guidance of a pure devotee. Two things are essential to become pure devotee. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his blessing, somebody begins chanting when preached to by Chaitanya's pure devotee servant or a representative even of Chaitanya's pure devotee. Then by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, such a person's demoniac mentality is destroyed by Chaitanya's mercy. Demonic mentality is destroyed. So when we make people chant Hare Krishna, even though their chanting alone cannot destroy their demoniac mentality till they take up devotional service, but if we somehow become instrument for giving them Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, then their demoniac mentality is destroyed along with chanting Hare Krishna because of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we are preaching, not only we should preach to people, chant Hare Krishna, but also make them receive the mercy of Nityananda and Gauranga simply by calling out the name Nitai Gaur, Nityananda, Gaur Nitai. That's why before chanting Hare Krishna 108 times, we should also tell people, to chant the Panchatattva mantra once. Then offenses in chanting Hare Krishna are not considered. This is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Never miss any updates.